Hi guys, I wanted to make a video responding to something that I saw yesterday by Judedirect. She did a series of videos on a question that was posed to her by a subscriber, and it was an extremely interesting area of conversation, and I wanted to add to that conversation. However, I have made 3 attempts to try to make a video in response to it, and because the subject matter is so wide, um, it really is still contained to a certain level. It's still a very broad subject, and it's hard to do it in a single video. So I've opted to do a series of videos on key aspects of it to try to expand the conversation and hope that it gets more conversation going. Let me first say that these videos were on the channel Jude Direct. Many of you know her. I think most of my subscribers know her and are probably already subscribed to her. So you may already know the videos that I'm talking about. I think she titled them Advanced Witchcraft Should We Fear It? Part 1, 2, and the conclusion. And the question, I'll start with a question, and then I'm going to start with the propaganda aspect of what the question was really getting at as well too. The question was posed sort of like this: is there an area of witchcraft that is very dark, and that is so dark that people who leave witchcraft go back to probably the church of their choice, Christianity most likely, but it could be other religious affiliations, and speak in such a way that what they had experienced was so bad, negative, and scary. And that if this side of witchcraft, there's a second part to this question, and if this side of witchcraft is so dark, that there's a so dark on the path, that why are the seasoned witches, I'm going to use the word seasoned, I believe, I'm not sure exactly what the subscriber used, advanced or whatever. These seasoned witches are not warning the novices or the newbies on YouTube and cautioning them about the dangers. That if there are forces that are so great that we might not be able to control or handle them, and as Jude had said, that there are that no human should be trying to harness them, to have control over them. I'm taking from this, is it a responsibility of a seasoned witch to forewarn newbies? Well, I'm going to start with what I call propaganda. The church, regardless of what church, I don't care whether it's Jewish, Islam, Christianity, but Christianity has a long-standing battle with witchcraft. They have a long-standing history of demonizing us. They have a long-standing history of touting and spewing the devil, demons, and all of these very negative connotations. They used it as a way to burn us in the burning times. They used it as means of control over populations of people, to remove and strip their inalienable right of their own spirituality and their own beliefs and thoughts, to indoctrinate them into paths that were controlled by the church. They needed the power from these people, and they did not want these people allowing this power to be told to the general population and masses that they had this power in them all the time. That you did not have to be born a witch, that you were not a demon, you did not dance with the devil at night, you didn't do all this stuff. They didn't want you to know that. They wanted to demonize everything that we did. They still do. History repeats itself all the time. The more fanatical religions get, and right now we are in a fanatical period of time. You can see it through what's going on in Islam with ISIS. That's not true Islam. That nothing that they're doing is following the Islamic written path. Nothing. These are fearmongers. These are people who are controlling and dominating populations of people around them for power. Power is a very evil force. It can turn people into an evil force. Power in the hands of people who cannot control their own inner beings fall to this, and you see them. They're the megalomaniacs. They're the people of ISIS. They're Hitlers. They're politicians in general being drunk with power and what they can do. They are often judges. They are often police officers. They are often lawyers. They are often any person who commands a position over other people, whether appointed, elected, or by sheer force of their own will take it, to do things for their own means, their own ends, to what they're looking for. And they are gathering the power from people they're like the vampires. They're pulling all of the energy to themselves and using that and amassing that as a force for evil. The same evil that they're generally accusing someone else of being. With that being said, that is the big encompassing thing that can happen. But there's always the trickle-down theory that follows that. The trickle-down is that in your local congregation, there'll be someone who has figured out that they can't just say, witchcraft is evil. And someone challenges them on it. And when they get challenged on it, they say, well, I used to be in it, and I know how evil it is. Well, when you hear people tout those views, you gotta remember a bunch of different points in that. How old is that person that is touting that, first of all? Second of all, let them elaborate on their past history And when did this past history occur? How long did it occur? Was it just the fact that they played with an Ouija board when they were 12 and everyone was telling ghost stories and their buddies played a big trick on them and freaked the hell out of them and went running back and they were frightened to death and, oh my God, demons exist? Or was it that you already knew that Ouija board was demonic and that because you saw the movie and you saw the videos and you saw this and that and is your experience because Charmed tells you there are demons to fight, but the witches fight the demons in that thing? Are the, people take from a lot of sources to come up with this stuff that I call propaganda. Jude used a perfect example of that with the person, I think his name is Henry Lewis, on, there's a lot of videos out there apparently. I don't know, I don't watch idiots like that, but I do believe I have seen him before and thought, oh my God, whatever guy. As he touts that he was once a top priest in witchcraft in America, in Wicca, and so not only was he, a priest, he was a top one. But she said she called him out on it because she heard him talk about something as simple as the maiden, mother, and crone, and he had it all completely wrong. And you can't be a priest in Wicca, especially a top priest, and not know the basic about mother, maiden, and crone. You can't do it. It's impossible. You're not that person. They're liars. They're deceivers. They're propagandists. But they believe, these people, why would they do this? They would do it because they believe that the ends is more important than the means to get there. So the very things that they say are sins or evil, like lying, they do. They do themselves because they say that my goal is to get you to Christ, in this case, Christ, because it could be just the same as in Islam or Judaism or a whole gambit of organized religion. The means is no longer important. It's the end. The end game is we're going to save your soul whether you want to be saved or not. And it doesn't matter whether you're truly saved, because as long as you're sitting in that church pew and handing me money in that collection plate as it goes along, and trying to strip my power and the power of that congregation, getting that preacher a little stronger, a little more powerful, that church a little bit more on the map, a little bit more money coming in, a little bit more, anything that works, they'll use. Is Christianity the only religion that does this? No. All religions, including paganism, do this. There are people who will always lie and deceive for what they perceive is a greater good or a greater power for themselves, regardless of what the motivation is. So the first thing that you have to understand is not all of it is true. And the parts that it is true is usually someone who was so fearful to begin with. And they got themselves in over their head, and it scared the hell out of them, and they went running back to the church. Just like a child, when that child is trying to get a little brave. I think Deary said it best the other day when her 4-year-old he wants to be independent. That's part of being 4. He pulled the full milk jug out of the refrigerator, and he dropped it, and milk went everywhere. He's strong, he wants to do it, and he dropped it, and then she said, he won't be doing that again because it scared the hell out of him. Well, of course it did. And he went running back, and he's going to let Mama take over that job again. And a lot of times that's what happens when you start out on a path in witchcraft, is that you scare the hell out of yourself and you go running back to what's comfortable and safe to you. And you sanctify yourself in the blood of Christ, and you douse yourself in holy water, and you sit in that church pew and you pray the demons are gone. You pray Christ is going to take care of the demons for you. When probably there was never a demon anyway. It was probably figments of your own imagination. But thoughts are powerful, and thoughts do create a lot of things. And so whether it was figment of your imagination or your imagination bringing it to life, who knows? Who cares, really? Witchcraft is about learning yourself and learning control, focus, and the influence of your emotion and your thoughts on the world around you. You do it whether you are skilled or not. You do it from the time you're little all the way up, whether you're in Christianity, whether you're in Islam, whether you're in witchcraft, whether you're a Buddhist. Your thoughts become the power and the spell itself. And witchcraft is just showing you that you can become more precise in what you're creating instead of hit and miss. Or 1 minute I'm creating something great for myself, and the next minute I'm creating all this misery for myself. But you understand that the misery came because you created it. And so you can start to change the influence of your life by learning the control and the domination of this energy that you have internally in you, that you were born with. It's your God and Goddess given right to have. It flows through you. You are a part of the whole. You are never separated. It doesn't matter whether you forsake Christ or not. You are not separated from the source, ever. When you put the wall up between you and source, that's when you start getting all of those negative emotions and stuff. So it doesn't matter whether you find your way through Christianity, whether you find your way through Islam, whether you find your way through Judaism, whether you find your way through Buddhist or shamanic practices of Native Americans or tribal people around the world. It doesn't matter how you find your spirituality. It is there regardless of whether you use it or not. It's there whether you're atheist or not. You are still using your mind, your thoughts, your emotion, and it's influencing everything around you. So witchcraft shows you the way to be more productive and more positive about how you can do that. That is why I am who I am. I am a seasoned witch. I'm only not going to say I'm an advanced witch because Jude in the second video does give a definition she's using for advanced witchcraft, and for the sake of these discussions, I'm going to use terminology that Jude used so that we're all on the same page. She set up certain definitions, and they were very, very good definitions. So if you haven't checked Jude Direct out, check her out. It was probably her last 3 videos that she did. Advanced Witchcraft, Should We Fear It? This is the first one that I'm doing on the propaganda aspect of these people in these churches, scaring these people away from paganism and witchcraft. And that's what I feel that they're using the stories for, is to scare the hell out of you so that you don't wander off. And understand they're using them for a reason. And you have to always question everyone's motives, and I don't take anyone's word for anything. I investigate it myself, and then I make my mind up by honest investigation of all sides of the questions. So that would be my advice to any newbie out there as well, going through a similar issue where they may be being terrified of certain aspects that people are throwing at them. Remember, most of that comes from people who do not know what they speak of. They are going on knowledge from books and movies, the horror movies. They think that all witchcraft is satanic worship and all the demons the fire and brimstone, all of that kind of stuff. So remember, investigate for yourself. Witchcraft is a solitary practice of internal transformation. And remember, that means that you are not taking information from someone else blindly and following it. It is an internal aspect. Yes, I do know that we sometimes work in covens, we work in groups sometimes, but remember, even the group people work as solitaires as well, because if they're not building themselves up internally, they are not really a strong member for the group to do the group workings that you're wanting to grow in strength anyway. So everything still boils down to the solitary workings of a witch. And that means your own investigation, your own research. This is not a lazy path. This is a very active, full-on path. And if you're not willing to do the work, then you need to go sit back in a church pew and let the preacher tell you what to think. Let the preacher tell you how you need to believe. And you need to let the preacher run your life. There are people that need to be that. And there isn't anything wrong with that. A lot of people are followers. They can't help it. And if you're a follower but want to go into witchcraft, find a seasoned witch to mentor you, so that if you have fear, that you don't have to fall prey to some of the things that fear can lead you to. So if you have a mentor guiding you along the path, and there are witches out there that will do that. So just take that into consideration. Find a group, find a coven, find a goddess circle. Find ways to where you're not alone as you start to transform and go down your path. It is less scary that way. It is also controlled, where there is a seasoned person there to say, hey, don't do that. No, and can explain to you why. If they can't explain to you why, don't go with them. And remember that there is another thing that I have seen on YouTube that kind of disturbs me a little. A lot of witches on YouTube, they're telling you that they only have been on the path a year or two or so. They're telling you that they don't know a whole lot, but people are flocking to them as teachers. Remember that although even a novice 2 years on her path can teach you certain things about the beginning, remember that a solid foundation comes from seasoned people, because sometimes when you're so new at it, you still haven't fully understood the concept that you're already working with. And so it's not always can you explain things the way it needs to be explained. And it needs to be performed as a novice on your own path. Even though you're 2 years into the path, you may not be able to fully let a new person understand all the concepts, because you may not know you don't have the concepts all down. As a seasoned witch, I can tell you that I still keep going back to the basics, and I still learn another layer, another layer, another layer of every aspect I've ever learned. It every year goes deeper and deeper into the concepts. So yes, a young witch can help a younger witch on the path, but it is far better to get a mentor, a crone, someone who has been around the path for many a year, that has really developed a more in-depth study of each concept as it goes, because they can see where you are and how fast you're developing, and they can guide you with invaluable advice that cannot come from a book. It comes from practice, years and years of practice, years and years of observation of how the energy manipulates and what it is doing and working in your life, and where all the connections are. So my best advice to any newbie out there: avoid propaganda, research it for yourself, and find a mentor if you have fear about anything. Make sure that mentor has some form of credentials and has years under her belt of performing and doing. And you'll know by the energy and the feel of the person. Trust your intuition on that. If something doesn't feel right about that person, then there's something not right about that person. Your intuition, that gut feeling, is not something you can develop it, yes. However, it is very seldom wrong about that. But remember that when you have been programmed to think one way and you have to go through the deprogramming part, sometimes that's hard, and you will fall into the fear, oh my God, I'm going to hell. Oh my God, there's going to be demons. Oh my God, your thoughts about demons. I will get into other videos that go into in depth, because this is already 30 minutes, and again, it was just on propaganda. I can't keep myself from rattling on. So I'm going to stop it right here. This is my first video response to Jude Direct. This is just on the propaganda aspect of it. So y'all have a great day. I hope to hear a lot more video discussion or comments, even on the group, The Witches Lair, or other Facebook postings, that kind of thing. Y'all have a wonderful day. Blessed be.